It's 2:43 a.m. Your body is exhausted, but your mind is sprinting laps inside a prison you can't see. You stare at the ceiling and it stares back, and the same questions, the same doubts come back, louder, sharper, meaner. What if I mess up? What if they hate me? What if I say the wrong thing again? What if this is just who I am? This is what overthinking feels like. It feels like drowning without water, like running without moving, like being alive but not really living. You keep playing scenarios that never happened, conversations that didn't go wrong but might, failures you haven't had but fear are coming. And here's the brutal truth. You're not anxious because life is hard. You're anxious because you never learned how to think clearly. No one taught you how to filter your mind, how to stop letting every thought drive the car, how to ask yourself, is this useful? Is this real? Is this mine? You were given a powerful mind, but not the manual. That's what Stoicism is, not a religion, not some trendy mindset hack. Stoicism is mental self-defense. It's learning how to stand between your thoughts and your identity, between what happens and how you react. The ancient Stoics lived through war, exile, slavery, betrayal, plague, but they weren't overwhelmed, they weren't destroyed, because they trained for it, internally. They didn't control the world, but they learned to control themselves. This video isn't about making you more productive. It's about freeing you from your own noise, from the mental spiral, from the what-ifs, from the shame. So if you're tired of your mind being your enemy, if you want to stop overthinking and finally breathe again, stay here, because the fight isn't out there, it's in here. Sound, finger tapping the temple. And we're going to win it, one Stoic step at a time. Before we begin, I want to speak to you, not the polished version of you, not the version you show at work, on your feed, or when people ask how you're doing and you say, I'm fine. I mean the real you, the one behind the smile, the one who carries thoughts they can't always explain, the one who's tired, not from work, but from thinking about everything all the time. If you're here again, if you've watched my work before, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming back, for choosing to keep learning how to suffer less. Thank you for not giving up on mastering your mind, even when it feels impossible. Thank you for sitting with your discomfort instead of running from it. It's easy to look calm. It's hard to be calm. But you're doing the hard thing, and that matters. And if this is your first time here, if you found this video because the noise in your mind was just too loud tonight, or because you typed in a question that felt too small to say out loud but too heavy to carry alone, then I want you to know something. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not failing at life. You're just carrying thoughts that no one ever taught you how to hold. This space, this channel, this voice you're hearing right now, it exists for one reason, to help you think clearly, because once you do that, everything changes. You stop spinning, you stop pleasing, you stop panicking about what's next, and start focusing on what's now. You get to live again, not just exist. So if you haven't subscribed yet, and you want more than just a motivational high that wears off by morning, if you want timeless philosophy grounded in real emotion, real application, and real change, then you're exactly where you need to be. Subscribe. Join the people who are learning to carry life better. We don't chase perfection here. We build mental armor, and we begin again every single day. Step 1. Label the enemy. Overthinking is a habit. So let's begin, not with affirmations, not with false positivity. Let's begin with the truth. Most of the pain you feel isn't coming from your life. It's coming from how you think about your life. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the only one that actually frees you. Overthinking feels complicated, but at its core, it's simple. It's what happens when your mind spins stories, not facts, not events, but stories. What if they're mad at me? What if I said too much? What if I didn't do enough? We take neutral moments and we paint them with fear. We invent tone in texts. We analyze silences. We rehearse conversations that might never happen. And we call it thinking. But it's not thinking. It's suffering in disguise. It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things. Epictetus. Read that again. Not things. Not reality. It's your opinion about what happened. That's the true enemy. That's the storm. The Stoics knew this centuries ago, long before therapy, long before Google. They understood that pain is real. But most of our pain is optional, because most of our pain is imagined. This is the first step. You have to label the enemy, not as life, not as bad luck, but as a habit. Overthinking is a habit you've practiced for years, and like any habit, it can be broken, but only if you call it by its name. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, get a piece of paper or open your journal and split the page into 2 columns. Label one column, facts. Label the other, thoughts. Now think of a moment that's been spinning in your head lately, something that made your chest tighten. Write it out. Example: my friend didn't text me back. Is that a fact or a thought? The fact is, they didn't respond. The thought is, they're ignoring me. Or, I must have annoyed them. One is real. The other is your brain filling in blanks with fear. Do this with every anxious spiral, every what if, every sleepless night. Break it down. Separate truth from fiction. You'll start to see a pattern. Most of your stress lives in the right-hand column, under thoughts. And here's the good news. If you created those thoughts, you can also uncreate them. You're not weak for overthinking, you're just untrained. But the Stoics, they were trained warriors of the mind. And now, so are you. Step 1, complete. Next, we build the filter. We learn to control what we can and let go of everything else. Step 2, filter what you can control. Let me ask you something. How many times today did you get upset over something you couldn't control? A message that never came, a headline that made your stomach twist, someone's silence, someone's opinion, someone's mood you took personally. The truth is, most of our overthinking doesn't come from what's real. It comes from trying to mentally control the uncontrollable. This is where Stoicism becomes something more than just philosophy. This is where it becomes survival. Epictetus gave us something called the dichotomy of control. 2 simple questions. What can I control? What can't I? That's it. It sounds too simple. But that's because you haven't actually used it yet. Imagine your life like this. Everything that exists, your job, your relationships, your body, your future, falls into one of 2 circles. The inner circle is what you can control, your choices, your actions, your response. The outer circle, that's everything else. Other people, outcomes, the past, the weather, the world. Here's what most people do, without knowing it. They live their entire lives in the outer circle, worrying about things they can't touch, panicking about things they can't change. And what does that create? Anxiety, bitterness, overthinking. But the Stoic flips the script. The Stoic trains their mind like a warrior, and every time chaos knocks on the door, they ask one question: what can I control right now? You can't control what they said, but you can control how you respond. You can't control the market, but you can control your spending. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control your own integrity. Peace doesn't come from fixing everything. Peace comes from filtering everything and letting go of the rest. So here's your next exercise. Start your own control inventory. Every night before bed, write down 2 things. 1, what happened today? 2, what part of it could I actually control? No judgment, just awareness. Over time, you'll start to notice a shift. Your energy will stop leaking into things that never deserved it, and your attention will start coming back to where it belongs. Here's the real power. You don't need the world to be calm for you to be calm. You just need to stop carrying what was never yours to hold. Let go of the outer circle. Live fully in the inner one. That's where the Stoic lives. That's where you'll find your stillness. Step 3. Interrupt the loop with physical stillness. Let's be honest. Most of your problems don't happen in the world. They happen in your head before the world ever gets a chance. You get one text, and your mind spins the worst-case scenario before you even read it. You make one mistake, and suddenly your brain tells you you're doomed, exposed, finished. This is the loop. You know it too well. And the thing about loops is, they don't break on their own. But here's something no one ever taught you. Stillness is a skill. And like all skills, it begins in the body. The Stoics weren't just thinkers, they were trainers. They didn't just talk about virtue, they trained for it. They believed that the body was a door to the mind. You don't think your way out of panic, you breathe your way out. I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I lost something I thought I couldn't live without. I won't go into the details, it doesn't matter now. What matters is what came after. Sleepless nights, endless thoughts, checking my phone every 2 minutes, playing out fake conversations in my head. I stopped eating. I stopped working. I stopped showing up to my own life. One night, I walked into my kitchen, opened the fridge, and just stood there. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't even thinking. I was stuck, completely trapped inside a mind that wouldn't shut up. And for the first time, I whispered out loud, I don't know how to stop this. That night, I tried something different. I turned off the lights. I sat on the floor, and I just breathed. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. Again. And again. It wasn't magical, but for the first time in weeks, the volume inside my head started to drop. That's box breathing. It's not therapy. It's not philosophy. It's not some spiritual ritual. It's a reset button, wired straight to your nervous system. The Stoics practiced stillness in their own way. They walked slowly. They ate in silence. They paused before speaking, because they understood something most people miss. You can't control your thoughts until you learn to control your state. So the next time you feel yourself slipping into the spiral, stop, don't speak, don't react, don't answer, just breathe. 3 breaths. That's your pause protocol. 1 breath to notice your tension. 1 breath to remind yourself, not everything needs a response. 1 breath to ask, is this in my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, respond slowly, deliberately, without panic. Stillness isn't the absence of movement, it's the presence of power. The person who can pause can choose, and the person who can choose can change. So try it now. Close your eyes. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. Again. You don't need to conquer every thought today. Just pause long enough to notice. You are not your thoughts. You are the stillness behind them. Step 4. Dump the mental load. Stoic journaling. Let's be honest. Sometimes the loudest part of your life is inside your own head. You wake up tired, not from work, but from thinking through 20 conversations you never had. You feel heavy, but nothing's even happened yet. That's the weight of unspoken thought. That's the burden of a mind with nowhere to put what it's holding. And this is where most people miss the cure. They talk to everyone, they scroll, they vent. But the Stoic does something different. He writes. Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man in the world during his time, didn't keep a journal for an audience. He didn't write to be admired. He wrote to survive. His thoughts, his doubts, his anger, his fear of death, it's all there, page after page. Why? Because writing is a mirror, and when you write with honesty, you don't just see your mind, you clean it. Here's the truth no one tells you. Your brain isn't built to store everything. It's built to process, to sort, to discard, but if you never release it, if you keep carrying all those half-finished thoughts, half-felt feelings, half-told stories, you don't get wiser, you just get tired. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, before you go to bed, don't scroll, don't run, don't numb. Just sit down with a blank page and write like no one will ever read it, because no one will. This is yours. Start with this question. What am I overthinking? Let the pen move. Don't filter. Then ask, can I control the outcome? If the answer is no, say it, write it, let it go. Then ask yourself, if this happens, then what? Trace it all the way down. Not the fantasy, the real, grounded reality. And finally, how would a Stoic respond? This question alone has the power to change your life. Not how do I feel, not what would make me feel better, but what would someone wiser than me do right now? What would someone calm do? What would someone grounded do? What would Marcus do? What would Epictetus do? What would the version of you, the one you're trying to become, actually choose? And when you start writing like that, something shifts. Your pain becomes something you can observe, not something you are. Your fear becomes something you can explore, not something you run from. And your thoughts, the loud, fast, overwhelming flood, they become lines on a page, still, honest, harmless. You don't need to journal for an hour, just long enough to release what's been stuck, just long enough to stop carrying what isn't yours, just long enough to see clearly again. Reflection isn't a luxury, it's your defense. In a world that wants to keep you anxious, distracted, and reactive, this is how you fight back. Step 5. Play out the worst case. Premeditatio malorum. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid fear. They hide from discomfort. They chase certainty. They build routines like armor, hoping life won't break through, but it always does. The call comes. The plan fails. The person leaves. And when it happens, they break. But the Stoics did something different. They didn't flinch at fear. They looked it straight in the eye and stripped it of its power. This was their ancient weapon. Premeditatio malorum. Not optimism, not blind faith, but radical clarity. The The Stoic asked, "What's the worst that could happen?" Then they lived through it in their mind before it ever had the chance to crush them in reality. Because the only thing worse than pain is being surprised by it. So let's try it now. You're afraid of losing your job. Okay, what's the worst that could realistically happen? You get let go, you lose your income, the security's gone, and then what? You're scared, you feel lost, but you're still alive. You still have your skills, you still have time, you still have choices. You downsize, you ask for help, you start something new. Slowly, painfully, you rebuild. And most importantly, you realize it didn't destroy you. That's what premeditatio malorum gives you. Perspective. Because fear only controls you when you leave it undefined. But once you describe it, it shrinks. And sometimes you'll realize the worst-case scenario is still survivable. The Stoics didn't imagine tragedy to suffer. They imagined it so they could suffer less. When you've already walked through the fire in your mind, the actual moment is just another step. So here's your practice. Tonight, before bed, or in the morning when the fear is loudest, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Then keep going. And then what? Keep digging. Not into fantasy, into reality. You'll find the monster is smaller than you thought, and more often than not, you'll find a version of you still standing on the other side of it. We don't become fearless by pretending bad things won't happen. We become fearless by rehearsing how we'll rise when they do. You can't outrun life, but you can prepare for it, not with panic, but with presence. If you're still here, still watching, still breathing with me, then I want you to know something. Most people never make it this far. Not in videos, not in thought, not in healing. They click away. They numb. They run from the weight in their chest instead of walking through it. But you stayed. You chose clarity over comfort. You chose to sit with the part of yourself that's usually too easy to ignore. That matters. And if this has helped you, even in the smallest way, then I want to ask just one thing. Subscribe. Not for me, for you. So you have a place to come back to when the noise gets loud again. Because it will. And if this video is giving you value, if it's helping you slow down, breathe deeper, or see your thoughts a little more clearly, tap the like button, not as a favor, but as a signal, to yourself, to the algorithm, to the next person who's drowning quietly, just like you were, that this kind of stillness is worth sharing. Thank you for being here. Now let's keep going. The mind is clearing, but we're not done yet. Step 6. Separate self-worth from outcome. Somewhere along the line, you were taught a dangerous idea, that your worth is tied to how things turn out. That if you succeed, you matter. That if you win, you're good enough. That if they love you, pick you, approve of you, then you're finally allowed to rest. But here's the truth the Stoics understood better than anyone. You are not your wins. You are not your status. You are not your outcomes. You are your character. Do what you must. Let come what may. That's the line. Simple, but unbreakable. The world might praise you or forget you. You might succeed or fail. That's not the point. The point is, did you do what was right? Did you stay aligned with your principles, even when no one was watching? Overthinking thrives when your identity is wired to things you can't control, what they think, what they say, what the outcome looks like. And when those things go wrong, you don't just feel disappointment, you feel like you're broken. But imagine this instead. A version of you who defines success in silence. A version who says, if I did what was honest, if I showed up, if I didn't betray myself to please someone else, then I've already won. So here's the practice. Grab a piece of paper and write this at the top. What would success look like if no one was watching? Not what would get applause, not what would impress your parents, not what would break the algorithm, but what would make you proud, quietly, deeply, without needing a single person to clap. The Stoics didn't ask, how do I win? They asked, am I living in alignment with who I said I wanted to be? That's it. That's freedom. You are not your productivity. You are not your salary. You are not your follower count, your wins, or your resume. You are your decisions. You are your discipline. You are your response to chaos. And when your self-worth lives there, no failure can break you, and no success can distract you. Step 7. Master the present moment. Most overthinking isn't about the past, and it isn't about now. It's about 1,000 imaginary futures that haven't happened and might never happen. It's you, replaying the interview that hasn't come, rewriting the conversation you're afraid might go wrong, predicting loss, planning failure, trying to think your way into peace by racing into a future that doesn't exist yet. But the Stoics lived differently. They knew the truth that most of us forget until it's too late. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Seneca. Live immediately, not later, not when things are stable, not when the anxiety finally leaves. Now, because now is all you ever had. Stillness doesn't begin in some meditation retreat. It doesn't require silence or nature or incense. It begins with this moment, right here, right now, this second, this breath. So here's the first tool. It's called the 1-minute rule. If it takes less than 60 seconds, do it now. That reply, that dish, that breath. It's not about productivity. It's about interrupting delay with presence. We avoid the small things because we think they're nothing. But they're not. They're the training ground. If you can master one small action now, you can master 100 thoughts later. And the second tool, something even quieter, even simpler. This breath only. Forget the day, forget the week, just this breath. In, out. Don't fix the future. Don't solve the spiral. Don't outrun the fear. Just meet it with presence. The Stoics understood that life is lived in drops, not in decades, not in timelines, not in someday, but in this second, and then the next, and the next. If you're feeling lost, come back here, to this body, this breath, this task in front of you, because this is the only place peace ever lives. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to solve the rest of your life tonight. You just need to choose presence once, then do it again, until it becomes a way of life. The present moment isn't an escape. It's the battlefield, where you learn to stop performing for the future and start showing up for yourself. This is where the Stoic lives, not in outcomes, not in fear, not in endless thought, but in the unshakable peace of right now. Step 8. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Let's tell the truth. Most overthinking, it's not about logic, it's about fear. You're afraid of being embarrassed. You're afraid of failing in front of them. You're afraid to say the wrong thing, feel the wrong thing, be the wrong thing. And because you don't want to feel uncomfortable, you overthink, you rehearse, you delay, you loop. But here's the Stoic secret. Discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the training. The Stoics practiced hardship on purpose, not because they were masochists, but because they understood one thing deeply. If you don't train your emotions, the world will. They would wear rough clothes, sleep on hard floors, fast from food, walk without servants, not to suffer, but to remember what they could survive. They called it voluntary discomfort, and it was their armor. The logic was simple. If you face fear every day in small ways, big fear loses its grip. So you're afraid of rejection. Good. Talk to a stranger. You're afraid of being seen? Good. Post the thing. Speak up. Say your name clearly. You're afraid of silence? Good. Sit in it. Every time you lean into discomfort, even for a moment, you tell your nervous system, we don't run anymore. You tell your mind, I can survive this. And most of all, you stop treating fear as truth. Start small. Take a cold shower, not for discipline, but for proof. Proof that discomfort ends. Proof that fear doesn't kill you. Proof that you can move anyway. You've been training comfort for years. No wonder fear feels like a brick wall. But discomfort, that's a gym. And every rep you do builds something you can't fake. You want to stop overthinking, stop avoiding life, step into it, get uncomfortable on purpose, and watch what happens when your mind learns we can do hard things without panic, without hiding, without spiraling. The Stoics didn't chase suffering, they chased strength, not strength in the body, but strength of soul, the kind of strength that says, whatever happens, I'll meet it head on. So tomorrow, don't just think, don't just plan. Pick one small thing that makes your chest tighten, and do it anyway. Not recklessly, not to prove anything to anyone, just to train the most powerful part of you, the part that moves forward, even when the mind screams, stop. Final step. Choose who you want to be. Daily. You've made it this far. That alone says something about you, not just that you watched a video, but that you showed up for your mind, that you stayed when your instinct told you to scroll, to distract, to disappear. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change everything, except themselves. They chase systems, they chase certainty, they chase relief. But the Stoic understands something deeper, that the real battle isn't out there. It's right here. In how you respond, in how you think, in what you choose, when no one else is watching. You don't have to control everything, just control how you respond. You don't have to know the future, just act with reason today. You don't have to win every fight, just win the one inside your own head. That's what it means to live like a Stoic, not perfectly, not without fear, but deliberately. So here's the final truth. You are not broken. You are training. Every single day, your mind will try to pull you away, into fear, into fantasy, into control and confusion. But you don't need to master everything at once. You just need to return. Come back to what you can control. Come back to this breath. Come back to reason. Come back to character. And when life gets loud again, because it will, you'll have tools now. You'll have clarity. You'll have choices. And when you forget, because we all forget, you'll know how to come home to yourself. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What do you overthink the most? And which Stoic tool are you going to try? Leave a comment. I read everyone. And if this helped you, if it gave you space or clarity or peace, subscribe. Not for the algorithm, for you. For the version of yourself you're slowly becoming. The one who acts with reason. the one who chooses calm, the one who wins the battle, daily. Come back to this any time, and remember, you don't have to think your way through everything. You just have to become someone who no longer runs from it.